Hi there, it's Mr. Clark. Welcome to lesson 12.5.3 on the recapitulation. So the recap is going to have all the same parts as the exposition, so that's nice. We don't need to learn any new parts. But it is a prime, so the difference is going to be, you start in one, then you transition, but then your secondary thematic area is also in one. So except for your transition, where it's kind of possibly pretending to modulate, everything is in one. Instead of starting somewhere and then going somewhere else, going on a journey, what the development has done is it's developed things, and then our recapitulation, we get back home and we stay there, and it feels very satisfying at the end. So, where we left off, we were at the end of our development, and we were emphasizing our 5-7 chord, preparing our return to B flat. So this primary thematic area is exactly the same as the exposition, and this is pretty common. It could be modified a little bit. Well, don't know what happened to the video there. That's weird. I'm going to pause while I figure that out. Alright, don't know what's going on. We've gone to a different browser and everything will be fine. So, let's start over listening to the recap. Okay, so let's take a look at what went on there. Because coming up, we have our secondary thematic area, but transposed to B flat instead of F. So it feels like we just skipped the transition entirely somehow. Sometimes the transition is about the same length, and it goes and just has a different harmonic progression, so it doesn't modulate. So we need to figure out where our primary thematic area ended this time so we can figure out where the transition began. So what seems to have happened is this cadence, where it was like an imperfect or authentic cadence, in the exposition, this was just leading on to the end of a phrase, but here, that this is the end of a phrase, and then the transition occurs immediately because we're already moving towards F7 with the E flats there, and we end up having our half cadence there on F, leading back to B flat for a secondary thematic area. So he's kind of hijacked the end of the primary thematic area to very quickly transition back to one. So let's go ahead and listen to that again with fresh ears. So that's the end of the phrase, and now we're transitioning. And now here's our secondary thematic area. So that's a little abrupt. That's not super typical of sonata form, but that's something that can happen. So now we're in our secondary thematic area. Pretty similar, except it's transposed to B flat instead of F. And it feels like it's going somewhere, but it doesn't. We just have another phrase. Potential 6-4, and here's our closing. And the end. And you see a repeat sign there. So let's first talk about that. In our rounded binary form that this came from, there was another set of repeats here. This one is less common, and even if it's written, performers might not do it because, it's already 2 sections, it's pretty long. But you might see these, especially in earlier sonata forms. They were the first to go, but that is a thing that can exist. So at the end of our exposition, we had our essential expositional closure, and then when we have our big cadence at the end of the recap, we're not in 5 anymore, we're back in the global tonic. So that's an even more importance, that's the essential structural cadence. That's what this entire form, this entire structure has been working towards to bring that sense of satisfaction. Everything is finally back home, everything is finally back in tonic. So that's what's going on here. Main difference between exposition and recap is that we just stay in tonic the whole time. See you next time.